You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode.
Good morning, Low Country. I'm Libby Rohrig, Director of Marketing and Communications at Berkeley Electric Cooperative. Joined here today with the lovely and talented Dana Jenkins. Dana, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Jenkins, Public Relations Specialist here in the Marketing and Communications Department.
Yeah, and Dana, this is your second or third time joining us. First time as a co-host, so we're so happy to have you.
And I'm excited, especially to have our esteemed guests here.
Yeah, we have two very special guests. Grady Redmond, a senior at Stratford High School and recent youth tourist. Welcome, Grady.
Thank you.
And Sarabi Owens, a junior at Cyber Academy of South Carolina and a Youth Summit participant. Welcome, Sarabi.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking the time out of your summer to join us and share a little bit about your experience. And we're excited to get to know you, but we'll explain a little bit before we dive into that to our audience while you're here. For those of you who may just be tuning into Power Talk for the first time, Berkeley Electric is a member-owned cooperative, and as such, we're governed by 7 cooperative principles. And the one that Dana and I focus the most on, and the one that we're most passionate about, is concern for community. And what that means is, while we're focusing on our members' needs, co-ops work to develop the communities that they serve by encouraging economic development, promoting education, and advocating safe use of electricity. So that's all a really fancy way of saying we're committed to doing a lot of outreach to our schools and our students. And each year, as part of that outreach, Berkeley Electric sponsors 2 leadership experiences for high schoolers. So up first is Youth Tour. And it's for juniors in high school, and it takes those students on an all-expenses-paid trip to Washington, D.C. each June. And their second leadership experience is the Cooperative Youth Summit. It's an all-expenses-paid trip, yet again, we all love free, to the state's capital in July. So we're so proud of you guys, and so happy that you were able to represent Berkeley Electric on these trips, and thrilled to have you here with us today to share your experiences with our listeners. And hopefully anybody listening today, if you know a sophomore or junior coming up, that you'll consider participating in the future.
So let's get started by just each of you telling us a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you from, why you applied for Youth Tour, Youth Summit. Grady?
So, as previously mentioned, my name is Grady Redmond, and I'm from Stratford High School in Goose Creek. And the reason I applied, well, there's actually 2 reasons. But the first reason is a couple months ago, my student government teacher, she's in her class, she sent out the application forms. And she was like, I think this is a really great program, and y'all would benefit a lot from this. So I did my research, and I had a friend go the previous year, so I reached out to him. He said he loved it. So I applied. And then weeks go by. I don't hear anything. I'm like, did I not get in? So then I'm like, you know what? I was bored in class one day. I think I'm going through my junk mail. I see the email from Ms. Dana. It said, please RSVP by this date. I think that was like a week ago to schedule your interview. Like, no late exceptions will be allowed. And I saw that. I was like, oh, no. So then I tell my teacher, hey, can I go take a phone call real quick? I find Miss Dana's number. I call her. And then luckily, she's like, okay, we'll give you a second chance. You can come in tomorrow at 10 a.m. I think it was like 10 a.m. And you can get it done. So the second reason was because she gave me the second chance. I was like, there's no way I'm going to mess this up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I shouldn't even be here right now. So I'm going to go in there. And I'm going to try to make the interview. So
just in response to that, my initial response was no, because there were no late applicants. However, I had a coworker at my desk, and they said, just let them come. And I said, okay, I'll give you the opportunity. And we were blown away by your interview.
Aww.
Like, you did such an awesome job. And I had chills, and I was like, what if I didn't give him this opportunity? So it was well worth it. And I'm glad that you were able to go, and you represented Berkeley Electric well.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, what a great story.
Yes. What about you, Sarabi? Where are you from, and why did you apply for Youth Summit?
I'm from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I attend Cyber Academy in South Carolina. The reason why I attended the Berkeley Youth Summit, my grandmama noticed, she saw something in the newspaper, and she told my mama that, she told my mama that it's something that I should be a part of. So where I'm from, we have kids who need a lot of advocation. We get it from the older people, like around their mid-30s, but we don't see our own youth stepping up to advocate for the children. So being from where I'm from and seeing those type of things, I would say seeing Berkeley taking that chance on us, I would say that's part of the reason why I came to participate in the summit.
Great.
That's awesome.
Great. So more than 1,500 students from across the nation takes place in the Youth Tour Experience each summer. Grady traveled with our South Carolina juniors to Washington, D.C. and toured the office of his U.S. representative and met the current U.S. senators. He watched history come alive as the group explored museums, memorials, and monuments, all for free. Grady, tell us about your experience in the nation's capital. What experiences or places you visited that were particularly memorable?
So I will say it was better than I could even imagine. I mean, the people, they were great. I mean, obviously because the interviews, it was great people. And I would say my favorite part would probably be going to museums, and I want to specifically highlight the Holocaust Museum because I knew it would be about that tragedy, but I didn't realize how somber and just deep it would, profound it would be, and how much of an impact it would have for me today, because I'm still thinking about it today.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact that tragedy happened, and it was insane. The genuine emotion that you could feel there.
Yeah, it really tugged at your heartstrings. Yeah.
It's a lot. My family went to D.C. last summer, so summer of 23, and my son was 8 at the time, and I didn't know what to expect going to the Holocaust Museum either. And there's a lot of reading throughout, and it's very slow pace, and I think the reading helps slow that pace effectively. You just really take your time. And so about halfway through, I apologized to my son, and I say, because he's 8, he can read, but not giant blocks of text. And I'm like, I didn't realize there'd be so much reading, sorry, if this is not a good experience for you. He's like, oh, no, I like looking at the pictures, because they really do. It's layering of information between the artifacts and these giant wall-sized photos and the descriptions and all the text that goes with it. And even a child had a really great experience and stuck with him.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was one of the memorials that I didn't get to visit this trip, just because chaperone duties called. But a lot of students, they expressed how much that really meant to them. Just being there and being in the presence of those memorials. So that's great. I'm glad that you had a good experience, something that'll, take you far in life.
And then visiting this Capitol, meeting our senators and our House of Representatives. Now, my group, Nancy May, she was, I think, out of the district, but her staff was amazing. I mean, they took us on the roof. We got to go. We got to go on the roof, and they told us about what she did as if she was there. And then Senator Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham, they were amazing. They talked through us. We had some good questions. They gave us good answers.
Right?
I got a picture with Tim Scott.
Cool.
Pretty fun. That was probably one of my favorite activities that we did. And the Holocaust Museum was probably my favorite educational experience that we did.
Good.
Yeah. Well, Sarabi, you were talking about your mom and your grandmother's role in getting you to come on the Youth Summit trip, and we want to hear more about that. But when you were talking, I was thinking, we gave you guys the honorary Power Talk mugs, and normally we have adults come on who are big coffee drinkers, but you guys can feel free to share these with the adults in your lives or use them for hot chocolate.
Yes.
But your mom or your grandma might love to have it.
Both of them.
Well, we can get you another one.
Yeah.
We have one for each. But you attended the Cooperative Youth Summit experience, which is a 4-day trip in our capital city, and it shows students from all over the state a side of Columbia that they've never seen before. The students tour the State House, they sharpen their leadership skills, they engage in team building activities, and learn about electric cooperatives and how the state government works. Again, all for free. Great price tag there. So, Sarabi, tell us about your experience with Cooperative Youth Summit this summer, and what were your favorite moments, maybe touring the State House or visiting the governor's office. What really stands out to you?
My experience at the Cooperative Youth Summit was kind of different from other things I've experienced before. One of the things that stood out to me the most was networking with kids that were from South Carolina but from other different places. We had to create a presentation based off of different topics. Some were topics of why AI should be regulated, why it shouldn't be regulated, basically debate teams.
Yeah.
So I partnered up with 4 people, and I didn't realize how interesting it would be, because I'm not a people person, so I like being in my own corner.
Yeah.
So being around those 4 people kind of opened my eyes. But okay, now you can't always be by yourself. Make sure communicate and talk to people. And one of the other things that I liked about it was we had to do a debate team. So we had to. I keep forgetting what it was about, because I couldn't really understand it at first. So one of the things I learned is communication. And that's one thing my mama always talks about, is communicate. Communication is key. We had to communicate on which team should get the money or something like that. And whoever gets the most votes, 34 votes, gets $10. Everybody was mixed up. Nobody knew what was going on. So y'all know the game Heads Up, 7 Up? So kind of like that. So whoever has the most thumbs on different teams, gets the $10. So nobody had the right calculation, and nobody won the money because of miscommunication.
Yeah.
Yes. And one of the things I enjoyed the most was the bucket ride. We went up
in the bucket trucks.
What do you call the people? The linemen? That what you said? Linemen?
The linemen at Newberry Electric.
Yeah. Shout out to my friend Philip. He was right there with me. At Newberry Electric Cooperative. We went up in the bucket truck, the bucket ride. It was a cool breeze, it was cool up there, even though I got sick afterwards because it got hot at the end. It was nice. I enjoyed it. Yes.
Good. Yeah, a lot of students, they don't get to experience that, just for safety reasons. So that's good that's part of Youth Summit. When I chaperoned Youth Summit last year, I went up in a bucket, and at first I was not going to go, but I said, I can't do these to the kids. If they're going to do it, then I have to lead by example. So yeah, I did it.
Advocate, right.
Yeah, I don't like heights. I've been up in a bucket one time, and I haven't been back since.
Yeah, I don't like getting in, and I don't like getting out.
That was the most complicated thing, was getting out.
There's no graceful way to get in and out of a bucket.
Shout out to those guys. Yeah.
Well, if you're just tuning in, Dana Jenkins, Public Relations Specialist, and I are talking to our friends Grady Redmond, a senior at Stratford High School and a participant in this year's Washington Youth Tour, and Sarabi Owens, a junior at the Cyber Academy of South Carolina and a participant in our Youth Summit experience. So thanks again, guys, for joining us. We really appreciate just you sharing more about your experiences on each trip and why it was a valuable experience.
Yeah. So since both Youth Tour and Youth Summit are created and sponsored by Cooperative, we strive to teach each student about the business model. Grady, what did you learn about cooperatives, either general or specifically about Berkeley Electric, that you didn't know before?
So I will say, there was one night where it was like all the cooperatives went together, and I didn't really know how vast cooperatives spread, because on a local level I knew we had Berkeley, I knew we had some other ones in South Carolina, but I didn't know how big it was on a national level. And I'd say that's probably one thing that I took away from this trip. And then another thing was how involved Berkeley Electric is in the community. I mean, the fact that I was able to go and that Sarabi was able to go on these trips for free it was insane, because the experience that we got and the memories we made and the things that we learned, I mean, all for free. It's a great opportunity.
Good plug. Good. Thank you.
Well, in the co-op, these two, as well as I think another 10 or 11 students who had these experiences, are going to attend our board meeting later today. But, it's an investment, again, in our community, in you guys. And we know as you continue to build your leadership skills and knowledge base that you're going to go on to do very important things.
Yes. So Sarabi, again, same question. What did you learn about your cooperative or the co-op business model at Youth Summit?
The same thing Grady said. I didn't realize that, my cooperative, any cooperative was actually involved with the community, because in my mind, from what I see, they call Berkeley Electric. That's for them to fix the light when the light go out. So I didn't know that before my grandmother, she even said anything about it. I didn't realize that y'all would, bring out programs for the youth, open their eyes and expose them. What's the word I'm looking for? When you excursion. Y'all would bring us on excursions and, experience different things. So that's one thing that I didn't realize y'all did.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and at Berkeley Electric, we focus on the electric cooperative model a good bit, but there are all different kinds of co-ops around the world. If you're not familiar with that business model, there's REI is one of the big outdoor supply companies that is employee owned. There's a lot of farmer owned co-ops. Like Prairie Farms, I think, is one of them. But it's a not-for-profit model to where the members in the electric co-op situation, they get any share of the margins that's left over. But it's operated as a not-for-profit. So. Dana, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. You've chaperoned both the Youth Summit last summer and then the Youth Tour this summer. And I know as a mom, I just have the one boy, that I might be a little bit nervous to turn my kid over to strangers to go to visit a big city. What's it like being a chaperone, and how do you deal with kind of the curveballs and unexpected things as they come up?
Yeah. So firstly, as a parent, I would 100% allow my kids to attend these youth tours. The trips are well planned. In order to be a chaperone, you have to be either a co-op employee or a teacher. So it's not like we just let anyone apply to be a chaperone for these trips. The chaperones are caring, they're attentive, they're understanding. And like you've mentioned, I've chaperoned both the Youth Tour and Youth Summit. And during these experiences, I've encountered many different situations. For instance, I had a kid that had a severe dairy allergy. A severe dairy allergy. And her mom was just in shambles. Like, she was in shambles about the trip, very worried about, what her daughter would be eating on the trip. So in that instance, I just had a conversation with the mom and the daughter, to just let them know that I'm here for them in any way possible. And just, kind of calm the mom's nerves, just to let her know that, I will advocate for her daughter when we're at these restaurants to make sure that there's no dairy included in any of the food, because that would, I wouldn't want that. I even spent time at urgent care with one of the students. From purchasing personal items for students. So I try to treat these kids like they're my own, just because I would want someone to do the same thing for my kids. I want them to enjoy the experience, and I want their parents to enjoy the experience as well. Because for some, this is the first time that they're away from home, first time that they're taking a flight. So we just try to make them as comfortable as possible. And I'm sure Grady can attest that I'm the best chaperone out there.
She is.
No, not to put you on the spot, but yeah, I did enjoy myself. I would definitely do it again. Not next year. I think I need to take a year off, but yeah, I would definitely chaperone both trips again, because we have some A1 students that are out there representing not only Berkeley Electric but their cooperatives as well.
Yeah. And things happen on trips. As many times as our statewide organization has planned this trip, and, co-ops from all over the country come together every year. Things happen. It's a summer trip in D.C. It's hot there. It's humid there. Mm-hmm. Even though we're from the Low Country, heat still might be an issue, heat-related illnesses. Yeah. But also, like you said, co-ops generally serve rural America, and you're taking kids to a big city, and for a lot of folks, it's their first plane ride. It's their first time maybe even leaving their home county. Mm-hmm. So it's such a life-changing opportunity.
Yes, I agree.
But sharpening leadership skills and personal growth, that's so important as part of this experience. You guys get to see the sites, of course, and then get to learn about co-ops. But, we really want you guys to grow as individuals through through this experience. So, Sarabi, we'll put you on the spot first. How did, Youth Summit change you? Do you have any new perspectives, or did it change any of your future goals?
One thing that changed my perspective is how much of an impact politics have on us. We met I keep forgetting his name, Senator Fanning, one of the two, and I think he said during COVID, the teachers had an impact on, it was like a bill, and they went to the state capitol or something of the sort, and he said he spent 9 weeks in the courthouse trying to advocate for whatever bill he was trying to advocate for. And he said he was there until like 12 o'clock in the morning. If they used the bathroom, they could not come back inside the room.
Oh, wow.
And et cetera. And I realized, like, we all know politics is a very serious topic, but I didn't realize that it was that serious. To advocate for something, and people have certain opinions that just are very negative. So to see him and to hear him say, okay, so this is the experience. Now, if you want to be in politics, this is what you're going to have to go through and what you're going to have to, consider. So that's one thing that stood out to me the most. So if y'all want to go into politics, y'all need to keep that in consideration, because that's nothing to play with, for real.
Yeah, a lot of our state legislators, they work a job in addition to their work at the State House. So it is a big responsibility. And, we've had some recent political news nationally with the presidential election. And I was talking to my now 9-year-old son just last night, and he goes, well, I want to vote. And like, buddy, you got to wait till you're 18. And then before that, he wanted to run for president. I was like, you got a few more years, 35, I think is the age. So
I like his way of thinking. Trust me, that's going to change as he gets older. Or maybe it won't.
Well, I mean, he has two parents who were former journalists, and so we're very interested in the news and politics and stuff. So we hopefully, we're steering him the right way.
That'll be interesting. What about any influence on your future goals?
Any influence? I would say Berkeley has taught me more about leadership. So I would say exposing myself to more leadership programs, because my mother, she's very big on leadership. She advocates for the people, for the youth in my community, and for the kids that's included with her job. So seeing my mother as a woman, taking the role of being a leader for the youth and for others, I would say she's part of my inspiration. So love you, mommy. So she's part of my inspiration. So I would say exposing myself to things that's more of leadership.
That's awesome.
Good.
And Grady, what about you?
So I would say the 2 weeks, including the Washington trip and before, kind of changed my trajectory in life. Because before the Washington trip, I went to Boys State, which, for those who don't know, it's, in simple terms, it's a program where you go through like a mock government. Like, kids run for office, you campaign, you introduce policy. So I went from Boys State to Washington, to our capital, our nation's capital.
It all came together.
It all came together. And it made me want to get into politics, but not even in the local level, state level, just to change the community. Because like Sarabi said, like, the youth, we feel like we're not advocated for. We feel like we're basically under the hands of older people, adults. And I feel like the people I met, because many of the Washington trip also went to Boys State, so I feel like and Girls State. So the people I met, I feel like there's a big chance for us to shape our country. And if we keep on going on that path of going out after leadership roles, going after leadership opportunities, and just strengthening our skills, I think that we can eventually make it a country where we feel advocated for and we feel like our needs are being met. And then obviously my communication skills, I mean, networking was like through the roof. I talked to so many people, so many diverse backgrounds, and that just changed my perspective on a lot. A lot.
Yeah. I definitely feel like our future is much brighter with you two in it. So thank you guys, really, from the bottom of my heart. So we're coming up on our final few minutes of the show. If there are any families out there interested in participating next year, make sure you follow us on social media. Guys, make sure you follow us on social media.
Facebook, Instagram,
LinkedIn. Yes,
LinkedIn.
or watch the South Carolina Living magazine, and that's probably where your grandmother saw
that's
the
exactly
Youth
what
Summit
she saw.
being
Right.
advertised, to learn how you can apply and when to apply for Youth Summit or Youth Tour. You can also contact me directly by email at danaj@bec.coop for more information. Again, that's danaj@bec.coop. So Grady, if someone is considering applying for Youth Tour, what would you tell them?
Do it. I mean, I keep on repeating this, but I think it marked a point in my life a turning point where I was going to focus on, you know what, I need to get out there. I need to make my voice heard. And if I want something done, I need to go do it. Because, I mean, it changed. You just have to experience it. I mean, there's no other words. So if you have a rising junior out there, first of all, apply for Boys State or Girls State. Little plug there. And then apply for the Berkeley Electric Co-op opportunity, because both of them, if you do both of those back-to-back, you will leave a changed person. And then also I would say check your junk mail in case you lose it next time.
Yeah, no, pro tip there. And Berkeley Electric is also proud to sponsor a couple of kids for Boys State and Girls State through our different American Legion posts.
Awesome. Okay. So Sarabi, what about you? What about Youth Summit? Why should someone apply?
They should apply because the impact that it has on me, that it had on me, to expose you to different people and different things. And first of all, I didn't realize that we were going to meet people in politics, like the senator, and because I didn't even know about him. So if you come up and you see this opportunity, just take it. Because at first I really did not want to do it at first. But it was a long process, very long process. But if you see this opportunity, just take it. I met a lot of amazing people. My roommate was actually from Korea.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was like, whoa, so this is how we doing it. This is people from all over. I said, this ain't just South Carolina. I said, okay, all right. So just take the opportunity, not because it look good on your resume, but to actually help you to expose yourself to new places, to new people, because you never know who you're going to meet. Because Senator Fannin, he said, well, if you want to come in politics, I can write a recommendation letter. So you really meeting big people that will give you big chances in this world.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, and our elected officials, they may not remember this, but they work for us. So the fact that he offered to write a recommendation.
Exactly. That's exactly what he said.
That's part of his job. So happy to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as Dana said, if you're interested in learning more about Washington Youth Tour or the Cooperative Youth Summit, you know, please go to our website, berkeleyelectric.coop, or follow us on our social media channels. We're on all the big ones. You know, you can watch the show on YouTube, or, you know, pay attention to the South Carolina Living magazine to learn more. Our applications open in January for both trips. Dana, can you kind of go over briefly what the application process looks like?
Yeah, so for Youth Summit, there's an application that needs to be submitted, just kind of general information, a couple questions that you have to answer. You will, after that process, we'll kind of narrow it down depending on the number of applicants that we have. And you do have to submit a video, just a short, like 2-minute video with your name and your school and why you'd like to attend this trip. From there, then we'll get you set up to, you know, come in and take some pictures, and then, you know, you'll start the process of attending the Cooperative Youth Summit. Washington Youth Tour is a little different. You do have to go through the same application process, but after that, you'd have to come in to do an interview. We do have a panel of about 3 people. Usually there's an employee, someone from the Berkeley Electric School District, and someone from the community. I am in there as well, but just as a facilitator, I don't judge or interview. But yeah, so far we've always had great candidates. Again, if you're interested this year, just send me an email, danaj@bec.coop. Applications start in January.
Yeah. And, like Dana said, for the youth tour experience, there is an interview process. So moms and dads, you've heard firsthand from Sarabi how impactful you are in pushing your teenagers to applying. But going through that interview panel is a great experience. Got to warm up for scholarship interviews. And
one other little tidbit: if you're a youth summit student and you apply for youth tour, you do have to submit the application, but you just go straight to the interview, so you'll automatically be granted an interview if you went to youth summit and apply for youth tour. So Robbie, you still have to do the interview. Do you think you'll be applying this year?
I already said when Mr. I keep forgetting Mr. Van, he already told us that the next Washington youth tour was going to be in June. Right, June. So I asked. I was like, okay, so do we have to do the same process?
Yeah.
over?
So their process, I'm not sure how they're involved, but we do our process ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Well, thanks again for joining us. This is the official broadcast of Your Electric Cooperative. You can catch up on past episodes of Power Talk on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. Get a behind-the-scenes look at Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. Thanks so much. Have a great day.